Hello and welcome to another episode of the Let's Talk Mortgages podcast, brought to you by Green Mortgage and Protection. I think this is 15. I have lost count now, but we're trying to bring you as many as we can. And on this episode, we're talking about the need for life insurance, why it's important, what you need to know, and how to get the best deal possible. And we've got another local expert with us. This week, we've got Luke Byron from HI Commercial. Welcome, Luke.
Thanks, Greenie. Thanks for inviting me on. Dead excited because I've seen your podcast go out and I'm thinking, when's he going to call me up? When's he going to call me up?
And here you are.
And the call finally came 3 years in. Thank you very much for having me on. Really appreciate you asking me. I'm Luke Byron, Director of HI Commercial Insurance Services. We're a commercial insurance broker based in Hessel, in the Ergo building. So you're in the penthouse, we're on the ground floor now.
Yeah, we've made it now, haven't we?
You have. You started
left you in the basement.
If anyone's popping in to see us on our way out downstairs. Commercial insurance broker, so we do everything property, liability and motor for businesses, particular areas of expertise, construction, manufacturers, wholesalers and property owners as well. So about 30% of our business is actually landlords, commercial and residential lets.
I play a part in that. You look after all my stuff for me, don't you?
We definitely do, and you're referral, so we make sure you're looked after and everyone that you put our way.
If anything, you're too proactive, because I get an email every so many months and I'm like, God, he's doing it again. It's like you're on it.
Oh, it's surprising how quickly it comes around, isn't it? It's frightening. And every time I say it, I'm like, it can't be another year. It can't be in a year.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a bit of background on you. So we've known each other, 6 years now through BNI.
6-7 years, yeah.
Yeah, you sold me a bill of goods when I first joined. It's like, oh, do you want to take this role in BNI? It's real easy. Threw me straight into it, and then I got stuck with it for years.
Baptism of fire.
Yeah, thanks, mate. But yeah, you've looked after all of our property stuff for years. So you guys look after not only us but a lot of our clients as well with their portfolios and their policies. So kind of jumping into kind of like you and your background then. So you've been in insurance for as long as I've known you, but how long have you been in it?
13 and a half years now.
Yep.
So I fell into it like everybody in insurance. It's not you don't leave school and think, do you know what, I'd love to be an insurance broker. It just doesn't happen. Had a bit of a trial at a personal lines broker. I never looked back really because I am that boring. I love the detail. So I fell into it, did a week's trial, never looked back, started doing my certificate diploma in insurance, and then before you know it, you're like 13 and a half years in. We've started our own business, HI Commercial Insurance, 6 years ago, and the good news is we keep growing and growing, and we just see ourselves as a bit of a challenger to the more longer established brokers in the area, because there's tons of us all in Hessel.
And they're all getting bought out though, aren't they? That's one thing I've noticed is like someone's getting bought out. So quite a few in the last couple of years have gone now, aren't they? You're one of like the last local brokers, aren't you?
Yeah, there's not many of us that are left that are independent. A lot of them are mergers, mainly acquisitions now, by massive national chains. And I think Marsh, Aon, American owned, the massive, the big beasts, even the national brokers. They're losing that sort of personal high street touch. It's going into, they call them centres of excellences, call centres.
Yeah.
Normally based in Leeds now, not in Hull.
Right.
So people that are used to having that local touch have lost that local connection. They've lost the person they used to deal with, and they're just becoming a transactional approach. Whereas we are based in Hessel, local number, easy to get to. In person, we're always open to that. If you want to come see us, we'll come see you, whatever's easiest. And local contact numbers, you're not going to be on hold for hours trying to get to me if you need me. You just ring my mobile, ring the office, and you get through to who you need to. Yeah.
So also we talking kind of like on the property side of things. So I know you do our public liability insurance, everything like that, but keeping it kind of on the property side for kind of how we work together is two main types of insurance. This is buildings and contents for your personal property, but then you have landlord's cover for, obviously, you being a landlord and a house you rent out. What are the kind of key differences between those two sort of policies?
So the buildings and contents, you're looking at like your own personal household policy. So it's your main residence, it's where you live. You're insuring the building, but it's where you keep all your possessions, your family possessions. So it's all your personal goods in that one building. That's why you'd have your own household insurance policy for your buildings and contents, whereas that differs to a landlord's buy-to-let policy, because you've bought that as an investment. You've bought that property not necessarily to ever live in it. You want somebody else to live in it and pay you an income for doing that. You wouldn't necessarily insure the contents in your buy-to-let property because obviously they belong to the tenant, so you wouldn't have an insurable interest. Why would you want to insure their goods? You wouldn't.
Yeah.
But you might have white goods, you might have carpets, you might have curtains, you might have a few bits to make it nice and homely that are owned by you. So if there was a fire or flood, you'd want to be paid back for them.
Yeah.
You also get loss of rent. So on a personal household insurance, buildings and contents, you wouldn't have loss of rent cover because you're not paying any rent.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a landlord, you are receiving rent for that property. If something happens and the tenant can no longer live in it, so it's got to be uninhabitable. So you're talking like burst pipes, floods, fire, something major, which means that the tenant cannot physically live in there anymore. They'd have been paying you the rent, so they're not going to be doing that if they're not living there.
Yeah.
So your buy-to-let policy, you would get loss of rent cover, and that would bridge that gap just while you get all the works done.
Would that pay for that tenant to have somewhere to live whilst you did that work as well?
You can get alternative accommodation as well, yeah. So it's something to be wary of because there's normally loss of rent and or alternative accommodation. It's not standard with every insurer.
Right.
You normally get one or the other. But yeah, that's an extension that you want to be looking out for. So yeah, because the insurers don't want you to make a profit from the loss.
Yeah.
So they want you to be put in the same financial position. So I mean, if you've got a tenant that's really good, you want to look after them.
Yeah.
If you don't have the alternative accommodation, you get the loss of rent. You might use that money to pay to get them somewhere. So they can be somewhere short term, ready for when you want them back in. Because I suppose you'll know more than me, but good tenants are like gold dust.
That's it. Yeah, you want to look after them. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want them to leave. Certainly not.
Yeah. So kind of like standard landlord insurance policy sense, we mentioned it covers your tenant as well as yourself, as well as the building. What sort of things would you find as standard? I know you've already touched on them, but what sort of things do you find as standard in landlord policies?
Property owner's liability. So as a landlord, you do have legal responsibility to the tenant, to third parties as well. So you might not be at the property every day, but you do have a responsibility to make sure it's a safe environment, basically. So like loose carpets. The traditional one is storms, roof, tiles blowing, hitting passers-by, hitting third-party vehicles. Believe me, it does happen. They're the general extensions. As I touched on before, loss of rent is the main one. You can also get rent guarantee. So if a tenant just decide to not pay, disappear into the abyss and owes you money, you can get additional cover for that. It's an extra expense, but it is available.
Yeah.
Emergency cost cover as well. So there's quite a few things that you'd get different on a buy-to-let compared to your standard household insurance.
Yeah, I think one of the things we picked up on ours was like malicious damage as well. Yeah. So obviously fair wear and tear is one thing.
Yeah, that's a big one, malicious damage. Again, it's something, if you use a broker, they generally point it out. You have some landlords that are not bothered about malicious damage. You say, I've got a fantastic tenant, they've been in there forever, not really bothered.
Yeah.
And then you get someone like, yeah, make sure I have that. But there's always inner limits. So if you can get the cover, you need to double check what the actual limit is, because like some insurers will give you $5,000, some will give you 10.
Yeah. Which today probably doesn't go that far, does it, for a refurb if it's serious damage?
It depends what they've done to it, because we've had examples where they've, not many, touch wood, but there has been the odd few where the tenants have turned it into a cannabis farm. So $5,000 don't go very far when you see the damage that they've done to it.
Yeah.
And all the electric rigs that they've hooked up. It's quite alarming.
I remember, so before I became a mortgage advisor, I was training to become an estate agent, and I
didn't know that.
Yeah, well, I've got all the qualifications. I don't use all of them. I won't use the firm's name, but I shadowed for a while with a letting agent, and I remember going on an inspection once when the tenant had moved out, and basically the tenant had bought or used cooking oil and thrown it over every carpet possible. So it was like every room upstairs, every room downstairs, down the stairs. So like, obviously it soaked right through to the underlay and everything like that. That all had to come out. There was stuff all up the walls. I'm thinking like, knowing what I know now, $5,000 was not even going to touch the sides on that. No,
we've seen a couple of claims. Again, what you got to be aware of, that's malicious damage by the tenant, but you've also got illegal activities. So again, some insurers might exclude that. It's not automatically included.
Yeah.
We have insurers that will give the cover, but again, more often than not, it's limited. So we had one. I'll never forget it because it was on Halloween.
Right.
So it was a weekend. Got the phone call from the landlord. I thought, this is never good. Out of hours. on a night time as well. I was like, yeah. He said, I've got some bad news. I was like, okay, go on then. He said, I've just been informed that the police have broken down the door I'm about to let. I was like, right. He says, yeah, it's a cannabis farm. I was like, okay, right, okay. Right, first thing we need to do is like get it safe and secure, and then obviously a loss adjuster will come out and do their bit. But the claim was going through, and I think the overall damage was going to be 25, 30k. And that included the landlord actually doing a lot of the work themselves because they're handy.
Wow.
But they had a 5k limit. So that the 5k got paid out, but that just scratches the surface. And like the landlord was saying, if you look at it as an investment, he's saying, whatever money I've made on this in the last 5-10 years is now gone.
Just gone
I'm
overnight.
Break even again. Because I had to reinvest that money and getting it back so I can let it.
Yeah. So what's the job of a loss adjuster then? I've heard that term before, but what do they exactly do?
Yeah, so they're appointed by the insurer. So if it's like a claim that's fairly complex or likely to be in the thousands or more, the insurer will appoint a loss adjuster that works on their behalf. So basically, they come to the property on behalf of the insurer. They're the eyes and ears. They come and do a full report. They assess the damage, and they write a report, send it back to the insurer, and they'll probably make the decision whether the claim will be paid or not, and what value. So you can get a loss assessor that actually works for you.
Yeah.
But you'd pay a separate service for that.
Because they've got to be independent.
Well, they work for you at the end of the day.
Right.
Which will often get you better claim settlements because they're not tied to the insurer. Whereas a loss adjuster, nice clear terms, loss assessor, loss adjuster, they could have been a bit different. Loss adjuster is appointed by the insurer, works for the insurer. They'll look to get a fair outcome, but at the end of the day, they're appointed by the insurer, so they're always going to do what's best for the insurer or in their best interest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it gets quite in depth when a loss adjuster is appointed because, like I said, they go through all records, do a lot of interviews, they compile a massive report, send that to the insurer, and then the insurer makes a decision. Right, are we going to authorise this payment or not, or is it a decline?
Yeah.
So yeah, it gets.
Is their job to kind of look into like the validity of a claim as well? So it's like, I'm not saying people do it, but it's amazing when people get their garages broken into and they start writing that list of what's been nicked. And it's like brand new golf clubs, like £4,000 mountain bike and stuff like that. So is that their job to make sure it's a genuine claim?
It is, yeah, 100%. If there's any like doubt or any whiff of fraud, you'll know about it.
Yeah.
And again, over the years, I've seen a couple of people try to put in fraudulent claims, and unfortunately, you'll come unstuck.
Yeah.
You don't want an insurer flagging you for fraud and then doing their investigations because then it has to go to the police, and obviously you don't want to get them involved.
Of course.
But yeah, the loss adjuster, although appointed by the insurer, they want to get the fair outcome. If it is genuinely covered, they'll make sure you get paid out in a fair amount. So
what are like the typical and most common claims that you get for like a landlord's policy then?
Most common is probably burst pipes, so escape of water in kitchens, bathrooms, leaks behind shower trays, toilets, not the nicest ones, but they're the general. You get quite a lot of escape of water claims, and it's maintenance, older buildings, it's general wear and tear normally leads to it. And at this time of year, flat roofs. So if you've got a flat roof on your property, storms, heavy rain, snow will just sit. Yeah. And we get a lot of claims coming in for water ingress where it's been sat on the flat roofs, not up to scratch. It's been exposed or.
Because it's funny, isn't it? Because like, if anyone ever does like, if you do your home insurance online or you get landlord's cover, like it seems like insurers are obsessed with flat roofs, aren't they? It's like, what percentage of your house is flat roof? And it's like, well, I've not gone up there with a tape measure, so I don't know. But
no one really knows, and no one really cares, to be fair, because it's a standard question of ours because we know how important it is. And in insurance policies, you get flat roof conditions. So again, if you're a landlord, you want to be looking at have I got a flat roof? Yes. When was it last replaced? Is it within the last 10 years? Because then it's going to be should be all right. Over 10 years, the insurer will either put an endorsement on your policy or a condition in the wording, because our landlords read the wordings.
Yeah, of course they do. All 40 pages of it.
Which will say, right, you need to have it checked by a qualified builder or roofer once a year, once every 2 years, something like that. And it's not until you get the water coming in through your roof you think, right, I need to make a claim. Yeah. And we'll say, right, when was it last inspected? Have you got a report? Have you got a receipt? Have you got anything to evidence? No.
Is it more because of how flat roofs are put together, or is it because of like the standing water?
It's just
and stuff
the wear.
like that?
It's the wear and tear, because like if you get old felt on timber, it's going to depreciate over time, and as the water just sits, so it literally just sits until it evaporates, dries off, or you get a bit of runoff. The weight can, if the flat roof is not strong enough, or if there are gaps in it, it just comes straight in.
Yeah.
And you're more likely to get water coming in through a flat roof than obviously a pitch roof is just going to just go, it's going to run off.
Yeah.
Whereas it's just going to sit there. If it snows, the weight of it's just going to come in.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's a well-maintained roof, a roof that's not that old, you shouldn't have any issues, you'll have a warranty. And if it is, say, over 10 years old, but you are having a professional look at it every 1 or 2 years, you're going through a couple of winters, any defects they'll highlight and say, right, you need that patching up, or that might need replacing.
Yeah.
If you're doing that, it just reduces the amount significantly of something going wrong.
I can imagine winter's probably the most common time for claims as well, isn't it? Like burst pipes because of freezing
pipes, yeah.
Rainy season.
Very busy this time of year.
Not for the right reasons.
No, it gets to like, Hull Fair, like you get to Hull Fair and like everything's downhill from there because it's dark, it's cold, it's miserable. It's like, it's Hull Fair, oh no. There's going to be a fair few claims coming in, and to be fair, every year you can guarantee it.
Yeah.
But our job is there to answer the phone, get all the information, run through the endorsements with you. So before we submit a formal claim, we can say, right, your policy says this, have you been doing that? Yeah, perfect. We can't see any issues here, and give you advice on how to get the best outcome. And similarly, if it is bad news, unfortunately, sometimes you have to share that and say, right, have you done this? No, well, we can submit it for you, but the likelihood it's going to get knocked back.
Yeah.
And again, we have some people, they'll try and make a claim for a couple of £100, and you're like, well, your excess is £100 or a couple of £100, so you're not actually going to benefit. Plus, you'll have a claim on your record.
Yeah.
And we've had some people just ignore us and end up with a claim payment of £50, £100.
Yeah.
It's pointless.
Yeah.
For your premiums to go up and lose your claims history.
Yeah.
A couple of hundred quid. Sometimes you just need to take it on the chin and be like, right.
So landlord's insurance is almost identical to your car insurance then. So you make a claim, that impacts future premiums and things like that.
Yeah, it's like any insurance. So it doesn't work like your motor. You get like a 10, 20, 30, 40% discount that's staged over however many years you have no claims. It doesn't work to that degree. But if you've been claim free from 5 years, the underwriters can give you maximum discount. If you start having claims, you lose that. So the amount of discount that you can get will reduce, and instead you'll be getting loaded the other side.
So how do you find, like, so properties in Hull, we get this every now and again, like even on the mortgage side, it gets flagged up, Hull flooded,
it's a pain.
18 years ago, and some insurers still class it as a flood risk area despite all the alleviation work that's gone on.
It's a massive bugbear of ours, because like we say 2007, ages ago, 2013, ages ago. You see York floods every year. Yeah. Everywhere else, there's a load of places around the country that are underwater more often than Hull. But the insurers, they invest so heavily on flood mapping systems to get it as accurate as possible. Yeah. And they'll just put the postcode in and say, right, flood, yeah, we'll give you flood. No, we won't give you flood. Yes, we'll give you flood, but we'll apply higher excess. And obviously being based in Hull, a lot of it is classed as a flood area, so it's a right headache for us.
Even though nothing's happened in 18 years?
Well, we have this argument with underwriters all the time to say, like, the last time it flooded was this, it was because of this. Nothing's happened since. And we've even got, like, not a script, but something we've put together of evidence to say, right, yes, this area flooded, but the government and council have spent multi-millions of pounds in this area since to alleviate it and put flood defences up. So, yes, it did flood 2013, 12 years ago, but since then they've done X, Y, Z to make sure it doesn't happen or reduce the impact going forward. Yeah, we're not changing our mind. Yeah. But it can be as stupid, because we've got a landlord, semi-detached property, he owns them both. And both insured was with the same insurer, because like 2 buildings next to each other, it makes sense to have it with the same insurer. We'll give you flood on that one, but not on that one. And you're like...
Same underwriter?
Same insurer, same underwriter. It's like, I'm going to explain that to the client. It's just literally the same building. You're giving flood on that, but not on that. It's like, yeah, well, our flood mapping systems say. make it make sense, because I've got to go explain this to somebody.
Yeah. Well, that same sort of database, a lot of lenders are starting to use that now. So we have one of the building societies where we were doing a mortgage for somebody buying a house in Anlaby. Before it had even gone to a physical valuation, they just checked that database, flagged up, flood risk area. And I was like, have you looked at that map even closer? I was like, well, no, why? I was looking at the database. I was like, well, that house you're talking about is directly situated between 2 flood alleviation fields that have been put in since that last flood.
Reason.
Yeah, it's probably the driest place in Hull right now.
It does drive you mad, doesn't it? Just what I mean, when we're normally quite at the latter end of the chain, so I mean, you'll know someone will go on Rightmove to your house, to like contact you.
Yeah,
you'll get the deal. They'll say, right, funds to be released, you need insurance. I'm like, oh, I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
And then we get the Friday afternoon call to say, I need it insuring, and I need it insuring now.
Today.
Because they're not going to exchange without it and complete without it. So we're quite far on in the chain. And then you'll find, and the mortgage provider says, we need to have flood cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easier said than done that.
Yeah.
Especially depending on where the property is.
Yeah, especially when it's like 3 p.m. on Friday.
And it's just like, we'll do our best.
But I think that kind of like highlights one of the many reasons to use an independent broker like yourself is, like you were saying, that house situation. For me, well, it's the same house, same area,
yeah.
You get the same insurance, but if that was me going on like a comparison website and getting told no, I'd be like, oh, well, I can't insure this thing now. Or I'm going to go to someone that's going to charge me twice as much for less cover.
Yeah, it can be.
When someone like you could have challenged it.
Yeah, well, that's what, at the end of the day, we're there to fight your corner as the client. We don't work for insurers, we work for our clients. So if something doesn't ring right with us, it's our job to put pressure on the insurer and try and get the best outcome. I can't say we do it 100% of the time, but we do get good results more often than not.
And I think that's kind of like, well, the other side of the coin of that is you need a landlord that's going to work with you as well. I've been through your fact-finding process, and I thought ours was thorough. Yeah, it is. So you ask all the right questions, but at the end of the day, we as landlords, we need to be honest as well, don't we?
Yeah. Well, we need to get the information to make sure what you're buying is going to pay out, because that's why it's not just a piece of paper that you think, right, a shelf that. We need to make sure, as a broker working for you, that if something does go wrong and something does hit the fan, that insurance policy you've bought is going to actually support you and put you back in the same financial position, rather than just going decline. And that's why we're really in depth, because there's nothing worse than you being a broker arranging a policy for that policy to not pay out, because insurance has a bad rep as it is. There are a lot of people out there that like to do it quick, easy, get it uncovered, forget about it. But you're only as good as when something goes wrong, does it pay out? And that is what I know. We are probably one of the most thorough brokers in the area with the question sets. And you touched on it, it's very lengthy. But we do that to cover the areas like malicious damage, like your flat roofs, just to make sure we've got all the information to get it done right. Because I'd be mortified if we'd asked like 3 questions and when you needed us the most, we couldn't support you. It's just embarrassing. Well,
that's it. Your insurance, you're putting a little bit away every month, aren't you? So that when that day, that way your life is upside down because the roof's caved in or tenants ran off with God knows how much worth of rent, that money you've been putting aside for that rainy day pays out when you need it the most.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. It's the peace of mind. And you trusting us or a broker to do it properly, you're relying on a professional to make sure you're covered. Because the alternative is you go online, you do it yourself, you've got no backup. You do it yourself, so it's a non-advised sales. You got no one to rely on to say, oh, well, they answered that wrong. Well, no, you did.
Yeah.
You answered the questions yourself. When something goes wrong, am I covered? Well, you've got to then go read your policy wording and make head or tail of that. And they're not the easiest things to understand.
Yeah.
And if you work out that it is covered, you need to be able to ring a claims line to then probably wait on hold for I don't know how long to speak to a claims handler to say, right, this is a situation. It takes forever. Whereas we do that for you.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy doing it, but I don't like being on hold forever. But I'd rather be on hold and fight in your corner than you have to go through all that yourself, because it's a right pain.
Is that the biggest battle you have with landlords, is them seeing the value in a proper policy rather than, I know I need it to complete, just give me the cheapest one?
Yeah, we see both ends of the spectrum, really. We see a lot of landlords that say, have the opinion, well, it's just a bill. I've got to have it because the mortgage provider's making me have it. So it's just a bill. I want it as low as possible because it's eating into my profits.
Yeah.
Basically, they're just seeing the pure numbers. It's a bill I got to pay. I just want it as cheap as possible. to get the funds released to crack on.
Yeah.
And a lot of them's like, I'll have standard this, bog standard that. Yeah, don't care.
Yeah.
And then you get the other end where it's like, it's an investment. It's a massive investment.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure I protect this properly. So, I will invest the time. I will add the extra covers. It will cost me more, but I'm getting more for my money. I'm getting more value. I'm getting more cover. I'm getting more peace of mind. So if something does go wrong, I know I couldn't have done any more than what I have done to protect that investment.
Because some of these bolt-ons aren't expensive either, are they? Like I know we've been offered the flood risk or the extra things for the flat roof, like rent recovery and stuff like that, and it might go from 25 to 30 quid a month, and you think for £5,
it's not.
It's a no-brainer.
Like legal cover, landlord's legal expenses, you can be looking at 40 quid a property. So it's not a massive amount.
And that's over the course of the year as well.
Over the course of the year, yeah. And if you think if something goes wrong, you haven't got that, and you need to speak to a solicitor, they ain't charging you 40 quid. Yeah. It's going to be hundreds of pounds an hour.
Yeah.
Not to diss solicitors or anything.
Worth weight in gold.
Absolutely. But you think it's not a lot of money for that. And again, I've touched on the loss assessor that works for you. That can be like 40 quid for the year as well per property.
Yeah.
And if you do have a claim, to have somebody fight in your corner, so they'll do all the running around for you. They'll negotiate with the insurer. And an expert claims assessor working for you will get you a better settlement. So all of a sudden that 40, 50 quid is like, actually, no, absolute great investment, no bother.
I can imagine as well, we see it on like the life insurance side, like whenever we are basically lumping somebody with the biggest debt they're ever going to have. Yeah. Yes, you get the house for it, but that's a liability that stays with you until you pay it off. Yeah. So we always advise like life insurance, critical illness, that sort of thing. And people always say, I probably don't need it. I'll be the one that it doesn't happen to. I know cancer hits 1 in 2, but I'm going to be the one that don't get it. Yeah. So I can imagine you have those same sort of conversations, like malicious damage. My tenants are great. That'll never happen to me. Yeah.
I wish I had £1 for every time someone said it'll never happen to me, because I'd be absolutely loaded.
Yeah.
But that's why you buy insurance, for the unforeseen events, for the unknown. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah. It is that day you hope never does come. But if it does come, you want to know that you are fully covered.
Yeah, and that you've got an insurer that's gonna support you and be there to pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
I remember one. It was a massive warehouse building. It was only around the corner from one of our offices back years ago. And I said, you've got insurance for this? Cause I just thought, I'll have a crack. Let's see if we can get some business. And he went, nah. I was like, you what? He was like, I bought it with my pension money. Like, I'll be all right, I'll just sell it when I finish. I was like, what if it burns down before?
I think I know what you're going to say.
And he's just like, if it burns down, it burns down. And I was like, yeah, but you just said you've put your whole pension pot to buy this building. If that burns down, you've got nothing.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I'll take the chance. I was like,
wow.
Absolutely gobsmacked. So, when we were back at BNI, I used to say, they're clients I don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with people like that.
Yeah.
And I just picked my jaw up off the ground, because I just can't... Putting your pension into that bricks and mortar, relying on being able to sell that when you're done.
Some people you can't argue with, can you? We get it on the life insurance side where there'll be Mr. and Mrs. and he might be the main earner because they've got kids, so she doesn't work, and he's like, I'm all right, and it's like, well, you might be, but if anything happens to you, what are they going to do? It's like, I'll leave it.
And it's not even expensive, life insurance, is it? I mean,
no.
It gets a bit pricey when you had the critical illness, but obviously you'll know more than me, but the life insurance is not expensive.
No, thankfully, the chances of you dropping dead are quite slim, which is why that's cheaper. But like I say, 1 in 2 for cancer and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, you just can't argue with some people, and all you can do is look. I told you what the risks were. I've put something in front of you. That's up to you whether you take it or not, and you can sleep easy at night then, can't you?
And you'll know that'll be the one. If you did manage to convince them it is the right thing to do, something will go wrong with that case.
Was that the one that you were talking about? Was that big building that caught fire near National Ave a couple of years ago?
No, thankfully.
That was God. I remember that happening. I thought you were going to say it was that one. I was like, wow.
This was going back about 10 years ago. This one, so I'd only been doing it for 2 or 3 years at that stage, and I thought, wow, that'll be a nice client to have.
Yeah.
Speaking to him, I was just like, no, not one for me. I just can't understand why you'd think that.
Why I'd run that risk, because I say the building's worth $500,000. What's spending £1,000 a year on looking after it?
Absolutely crackers.
Yeah, but that's the thing as well. Like you're saying, besides your own home, typically buy-to-let properties are much cheaper than your own home because then the numbers stack up, but it's still a big investment when you put in 25% of your own money in it, plus the upkeep. And if you're looking at it, like we always got told when we were like learning about like investing in property, is look at that property as a cash machine. Is every month it's going to go, there you go. Or if it goes up in value, you want to take a chunk out, you've got a big chunk there. Why would you not protect that?
I've no idea. I don't know if you see it as well, but we're seeing a lot of, like, people do like to invest in Hull because of the property values. But there's a lot, going back a few years, there was like a load of like 20 to 30 year olds based in London. They don't even see the properties. They just like see the numbers and go, right, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Come to insurance and like, right, what's the address? It's this. What's the postcode? Don't know that. What's the rebuild value? Don't know that.
Yeah.
What's the roof? Don't know. Is there any flat roof? Don't know. And they've literally never seen it.
Yeah.
Don't care less about
What
it.
do you do in that situation? Are you still able to insure it with that little information?
We don't. I mean, some might, because you can obviously go on Google Street View, you can have a little drive round and piece it together, but we won't do that because we need to rely on what we're told.
Yeah.
So not on them situations, right? Have you got a managing agent looking after it for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Are they local? Yeah.
Can you
great,
send them
right.
round?
Can you give me authority? I'll speak to them and get the information I need from them on your behalf if you're happy with that.
Yeah.
We wouldn't just do it based on the actual bare bones and fudge it. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
So we're getting a load of them, like a load of young people investing. And more recently, we're seeing quite a lot of overseas investors. Again, never see the property. They just have a managing agent. They'll probably see the deal online or something and say the numbers stack up, right, we'll buy that. And again, the actual owner of the property doesn't have a clue.
Yeah.
And all they need is the insurance, and they just see it as a transaction, a must-have for them to be able to buy the property.
Yeah.
So quite often you're relying on managing agents or local knowledge to try and piece it together. But yeah, there's some times where just the landlord or the managing agent are not very forthcoming with information. Sometimes you've got to hold your hand up and walk away and say it's not worth the risk.
Yeah.
It's not one for us.
Do you find those that have been kind of bitten by something tenants done, or like a storm or something, they're a bit more forthcoming with taking out insurance? Or
well, it depends how it goes, really. Because I mean, if the claim goes through and it's handled well and they get what they're expecting, they see the value. Yeah. And there's no issues going forward when you say, right, you've got it on there, you haven't got it on there. Let's look at increasing your cover based on what's happened. They see the value. Whereas if they've had a bad experience, they need to make a claim. For example, say it's flat roof and they haven't had the maintenance done, and insurer's not going to pay because you breached the policy. They have that bad experience and think, oh, well, it's not worth the paper it's written on, blah, blah, blah. So it all depends on the experience when something does go wrong. But that's our job as a broker to make sure the probability is we've done it right for you, so you are going to get paid. That's the whole point of using a broker. Yeah.
How do you go about finding the rebuild value? Because for us, we get, depending on the lender, they either will or won't send us the valuation report, which will have the rebuild cost on it. So if we do get it, then we can pass it on to them.
Miles easier if you do that.
Yeah, but if that lender doesn't give you one because, we don't give the valuations out, how do you go about finding the rebuild cost?
Yeah, so we're not qualified surveyors, so we can't advise on a rebuild value of a property. We can use a desktop survey, rebuild cost assessment. It's one of our suppliers that we use. RICS approved survey done, but it's done via desktop via internet record. So that's relatively inexpensive, about 150 quid, I think,
right,
to get that. So we'd either use that if there's absolutely no knowledge of what the rebuild will be. If it's a residential property, there's a ABI calculator online. You've got to sign in and log in. And it'll use the measurements of the property and give you a decent idea. So that's not a bad free.
Does that work it on like price per square foot?
Yeah. Or alternatively, we've got connections with if it's a local property, local surveyors, RICS-approved surveyors, and we'll just make the introduction basically and say, right, this needs doing, can you go out and survey that? Send the report back. But it's miles easier when the mortgage provider goes, that's what you need to insure it for.
Yeah, it is really rare that they do that. I can probably count on one hand the amount of lenders that do that. And we have like some landlords, as soon as the valuation comes back and they get the mortgage offer, that's the next question, they're straight on it. Some are just like, woohoo, great, I've got a mortgage, and they're like skipping down the street knowing they've got the house.
Yeah. The best one is, it's like when people don't know, they just go, I paid 60 grand for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you paid that for it, but what's the rebuild value?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I paid 60 grand, so I'd want 60 grand back. It's like,
And it's often higher, isn't it, the rebuild value?
way, way higher.
Which is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, well, not really, because like something's only worth what you're willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
But if like you got a mortgage provider, they're going to want it built back to how it was to stand into that right value again.
Yeah.
So you're talking like site clearance, planning permission, labour, materials. It all adds up. So what you got for 60 grand won't even cover the labour.
Yeah.
The amount of, I can't remember the exact percentage of underinsurance in the UK, but it is massive.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had, because if the client doesn't know, we would recommend the desktop survey. We've had at least 10 where they've been underinsured by like £1 million. And that's mega.
Yeah.
So when you come to a claim and you've got underinsurance, if you're underinsured by 50%, your claim payment will be deducted by 50%.
Yeah.
And that can make a hell of a difference.
Because I've seen it where people have found like their own policies online, and it'll give you like £1 million worth. Yeah. So on the landlord side, would you put it through at the exact rebuild cost, or if the insurer was like, well, you can go up to £1 million, would you set it to that? How would you do it?
I think it's more like online or personal, like household buildings and contents, where they call it like a blanket cover, and they'll just have these set limits, because for most residential, £1 million would be more than enough. Whereas on commercial, like buy-to-let, the insurer will ask you for the rebuild value.
Right.
So they wouldn't just do like 250, 500k, 750. They wouldn't do it in stages like that. They do ask.
It's that figure and that figure only.
Yeah, what's the declared value? What's the rebuild sum insured of that property? So you've got to be quite specific.
So is there like any like typical restrictions that you'd find like in like a landlord's policy about what's not covered or how you're not allowed to use the property?
Yeah, so we've touched on like the malicious damage inner limits. So I've mentioned there, trace and access is a big one. So if you have got a burst pipe, you need to appoint a contractor to come and find it first and stop it before it gets any worse.
Right.
So some policies, again, you might have a £1,000, £2,000 limit or £5,000 limit, or it can go up to 20 grand. Obviously, the higher the limit you got, depending on how bad the leak is and how bad it is to access. If a contractor's there for days trying to find it, £2 grand ain't going to go very far. So that's something that landlords definitely need to be aware of, the trace and access, to make sure they've got a suitable limit for that. Flat roof, again, flat roof conditions, make sure the maintenance is in place. In terms of tenants, they don't like subletting at all. So I wouldn't allow subletting, because, again, if there's a claim and it turns out there is subletting, they don't like that.
Yeah.
Different tenancy types. So in an ideal world, professional working tenants are absolutely ideal. It's wrong, to be fair, the way insurers do it, because I don't like it, because you're tarring certain categories of people with the same brush, and I don't think that's fair. But you have like professional working, lower rated, because they just assume everything's going to be all right. People working but with benefits, people just on benefits, retired, asylum seekers.
Do you think that's because of the amount of time they spend in the property, do you think? Like if you've got like a professional throughout the house 8, 9, 10 hours a day at work, so there's less chance of wear and tear, or?
I don't know, because obviously a lot of people working from home now, so there's that. But I just think, I don't know if the insurers see it as they're in employment, they've got a decent, stable job, they're unlikely to cause a load of damage and wreck the property. But just because you have a job doesn't mean you're not going to do that. So
yeah.
It's quite... prejudice, what's the word, prejudgmental.
Yeah, quite biased, isn't it?
Yeah, because you say somebody on benefits is more likely to smash up a property than someone professional working, but it's not always the case. So it can be quite tricky, that. And the premium rates are higher for those on benefits compared to professional working.
Yeah.
I know we have the conversation to that extent. It's like, just because they're in receipt of benefits doesn't mean they're going to smash up the property any more than somebody who's working.
Yeah. A person could have had a bad day at work and smash the kitchen to bits.
Doesn't make sense. That's insurance for you.
Yeah. So obviously you'll see people from one property up to God knows how many. So what's the biggest mistakes you see landlords make as like their portfolio grows?
We've had some who forgot to actually let us know. So you'll insure a couple, you'll get to the next year's renewal, and you do a pre-renewal review, and they go, I've bought another one since then. I had that last week. Like, when did you buy that? 7 months ago. Right, best get that covered straight away then. So you get the odd one who forgets what properties they do own.
Yeah.
And doesn't add it on. And you get people that just clone the cover. So, like we touched on rebuild cost, they might have one at, I don't know, 200k. And I think landlords, some of them they have their areas, they like to buy and build the portfolio in certain areas because they know it, they understand it, they know what rent they can get.
Yeah.
And they're like, right, I'll have that one at this side of the street, I'll have this one in the middle of the street, I'll have this one on the end of the street, that might be mid-terrace, that might be end-terrace, that might be semi-detached. Like, I'll just insure it for the same value, every one. They're not going to be the same value. It's like, yeah, it'll be all right. And it's like, well, no, my advice is please have a look at a rebuild value assessment. Like, no, we'll just copy. So copying the covers from one property to the next. We see that quite often where it's like, it just don't make sense. Like, the property values are going to be different. The rebuild costs are going to be different.
Because I know as our portfolio grew, we started to like bundle properties together, didn't we, rather than having them all insured individually, which was a nightmare with all the different end dates.
Well, if you're a landlord, I mean, I don't know if it's crass or not, but you're doing it for the investment. You want to be as hands-free as possible. You might manage it yourself, or you might have a managing agent. You just want the money to come in. It's an investment. You don't want to be having, I don't know, if you've got 10 properties, 20 properties, 50 properties. You don't want 50 renewal dates a year and somebody contacting you 50 times a year saying, can we go through this? Can we go through this? Can we go through this?
Yeah.
You just want it on one centralised policy, one common renewal date. Everything's in one area, one policy. Administratively, easy to deal with.
Yeah.
In terms of premium, more often than not, combining it all makes it more competitively priced for you.
Yeah.
Because you can spread that risk across different locations. So it's a lot less headache to have a portfolio compared to having multiple individual policies throughout the year.
Yeah, because I think we've got ours split over two, so we have like two separate policies. So I think that's why I think Alex is always like emailing me all the time. It's like,
just
again? It's like every 6 months he gets in touch.
Because you've got an empire.
I won't go that far. So what kind of like changes have you seen like in the insurance market? Because we also mentioned about like the flooding in Hull, didn't we? But did COVID like change anything at all?
The knock on that was like the cost of insurance. So like the biggest change I've seen definitely in the last 5 years since COVID was the premiums just skyrocketed. The cost of materials, the cost of labour just went through the roof. So like on your declared building some insured declared value, normally I've seen index linking anywhere between 2 and 5%. Whereas it was coming on 12 to 20%.
Right.
So when you get to your renewal, the insurer's automatically increasing your sum insured by potentially 12%. So without any changes at all, you're getting a higher sum insured, which means you're going to have a higher premium. But that's a massive jump, especially on a portfolio if you're talking sums insured $1 million. Add 12% on that, you're getting a lot of extra premium to pay. So the premiums did increase quite heavily, but I'd say in the last 6 months they are leveling, starting to come back down, which is a good news for landlords. Yeah. So you should be able to see insurance costs start to come down, certainly over the next couple of years. The other thing was like right to manage. So like leaseholders, normally the freeholder, the owner of the building, sort the insurance and pass that bill on, and the leaseholders, the tenants had to pay their part. Now you can set up right to manage companies as leaseholders, and you can take over the running of the building, which I think it's a good thing for leaseholders because you can manage your costs yourself. You can do as much running around as you want or as little as you want.
Yeah.
So for insurance purposes, you're in control rather than being told what you're going to pay. Another big thing was like construction of properties, commercial properties, high-rise flats on the back of Grenfell, the combustible materials.
Yeah.
That's been massive because I'd say 5 to 10 years ago, insurers were not asking as much detail as what they are now over what type of cladding, what type of combustible material, what's the fire rating. They ask for a lot of information now compared to what they used to. Just trying to think. Legislation for landlords has been
with the writers' reform coming in next year, and
well, I'm just doing a renewal at the minute actually for a huge portfolio, and they've got legal cover, and the legal expenses cover has gone up quite a bit, and they're saying, well, the tenant's rights, it takes like 6 months plus to get a tenant evicted if they need to be evicted now. With this extra rights they've got, how long is that going to take? They've got a foot solicitor's bill, so that premium's going up.
Do you think that'll change like the wording and what's offered in policies now? Because if it's going to take even longer to get a tenant out,
in insurance,
you could be even longer without rent there, can't you? So, I mean, as standard, the rent cover, how long will that cover you for?
If it's loss of rent, so like I said, there has to be an insured peril, so it has to be flood, fire, something that makes it uninhabitable.
Yeah. So it's not just the tenant just not paying?
No, that's rent guarantee.
Right.
So that would be a separate policy that you can get.
Yeah.
And that would cover voids, non-payments. But that's not a standard cover that you get. You could buy that as a bolt-on.
Yeah.
And to be fair, on COVID, a lot of the insurers pulled out the market.
Yeah, I was going to say that, yeah.
People lost their jobs, people weren't getting paid. So the insurer not paying the rent, so the insurers said, right,
yeah,
there's too much chance of this happening now, so we're just pulling out the market.
So that rent guarantee then, what time frame would you normally get on that? Is it like 6 months, 12 months?
Normally annual policies.
Right.
So you normally do a 12-month period. Again, it differs between insurer. We're starting to see more insurers come back into the market to have more options, which is only good for the landlords, because the more insurers that come back to market, the more differentiation between the products.
Yeah, the more competitive the premiums will be.
More competitive premiums, better cover, because they're all fighting for the business, which is good.
Yeah.
Whereas after COVID, there might have been one, and it was take it or leave it.
I wonder if that rent guarantee will change then. Like, say if it was 12 months as standard, if you could be fighting for 12 months to get them out.
I know the premiums have got.
And they're already behind before that point.
Yeah. Well, you kind of set you set what cover you want for rent guarantee, because you'll say, right, the monthly rent is this, and I won't cover for X amount of period. So it does differ to loss of rental income. Loss of rental income is like you set 12, 24, 36 months. You set the period you want to be paid out for, or the cover to last for. Because if you think if there's a fire to rebuild a property, if it's a commercial property, it might take 2 years, 3 years rather than one. If it's a residential, you might be done in a year.
Yeah.
So you can set that period.
I think the legal cover will become even more important now.
It's so stringent. The rent guarantee is just so stringent. Again, it's just something you need to be really careful of, because there are a lot of conditions in those type of policies.
Yeah.
Like reference checks, all sorts of background checks. If they're already in default, no cover. If there's any problem, like 90 days, first 90 days of the policy, no cover. So there's quite a lot of things that you need to be aware of, and make sure the better products will be more expensive, but you get what you pay for at the end of the day.
Because I think, from May next year, the Renters' Right Bill, where no fault evictions, that sort of thing, is people might be relying more on that legal cover. So that bolt-on's going to become even more important than ever, isn't it?
Yeah, and it'll become more important, but in insurance, it just means the cost will go up, because ultimately their costs are going to skyrocket, because it's new. You need to have claims, you need to understand trends to be able to develop the cover and set your premiums. With it being an unknown, it's kind of like, right, we'll set it at this, see how we go.
Yeah.
And kind of feel it out. But yeah, I'd say we were talking about this in the office the other day, about tough being a landlord, because we've seen a lot of landlords who have been like legacy, they've owned properties for decades. They're selling and getting out because they're thinking, right, it's too onerous now. I've got to do my PCs, I've got this tenants more rights, blah, 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 blah. Got all this gone, and it's kind of sucking the fun out of it. It's certainly the money. Yeah. So they're like cashing in and selling up and cashing in on what they bought. And we're like, well, is that good? Because the policy's just going to cancel. But then you're getting the newer landlords, newer investors who don't know any different from the current legal situation. And if the numbers stack up, they're still going to go and give it a go. So it's an opportunity for some, a time to get out for others.
100%. I think like COVID was the same, wasn't it? Everybody was panicking, but a lot of people kind of made a fortune in COVID because they spotted an opportunity everybody else was running away from.
Yeah.
I used to go to the Humble Landlords Association quite a bit, and you saw a whole spectrum of people there. I mean, majority were older gentlemen that have been investing since the 90s, starting to offload their properties now because they are in their 70s, they have had enough, and it's just been every year there's some sort of new legislation, tax change, just take an absolute battering out of it.
A massive amount, yeah. And I can see from their point of view why it sucks the fun out of it. Yeah. And certainly the reward, risk and reward, the reward's not as great as what it was. Yeah. Back in the days when you could put a 10% deposit down, you could have a tenant for 10 years paying a rent on a single tenancy agreement, and you didn't have to worry about damp or mould or anything like that. But I do think all the changes that are coming in, once you get past the negativity of it, obviously it does impact me. We've got some properties, and you just think, oh, it is what it is. Like, we've had all these guys at the Landlords Association, you've had your money out of these properties over the years. Like,
just consider it a good run. And but then we see a lot of clients now are really excited by property because you do have these people that are offloading them.
Yeah, there's more stock on the market, isn't there? There's more opportunity. If they're selling, that means there's property to buy. And if you buy at the right price, you're going to be laughing.
Yeah.
Whereas if they're just held on, sorry, getting leery. If they're held on to it, there'd be less opportunity to buy.
But I think with like all like the potential licensing and things like that it's just raising the standard of everybody. So it's raising the standard of properties, it's raising the standards of how you manage them, how you insure them, how you finance them, everything like that. Yeah. So I think it's only a good thing. One of the other things I wanted to ask was the age of a property. I can imagine that has an impact on the premium as well.
Yeah, I'd say like it's normally pre-1850.
Yeah. It's just mad to think you could be buying like almost a 200-year-old house.
No, insurers are not massive. It's a limited market. Not all insurers will want that kind of business. Again, it's just age, wear and tear. Things are likely to go wrong. But then again, you can argue the more modern ones are not built as
robust
as the older ones. So it's I think insurers rate lower for the newer properties. Again, the new, you're likely to face less issues compared to an older property. If you start getting into properties that are like listed or in a conservation area or have had previous issues, again, insurers soon drop out of the line to pick that up, which means less insurers to go out, more premium for the ones that do. But definitely, the older buildings are generally more expensive to insure.
Have you ever found anything that's uninsurable that's come across your desk?
I think so. I think everything, like once you get to insurance, everything has a price. So it might be uninsurable because the landlord's gone, I'm not paying that.
Yeah.
And they might have gone somewhere else. But we've had some weird and wonderful ones, but we can normally find a home for it because you might just have to go to Lloyd's of London where the premiums are quite juicy.
Yeah.
But I mean, we cover hotels, we cover listed buildings, we cover all sorts. So there's
in all states of like condition and
not poor maintenance. We don't do anything that's falling down. So if something's like an existing structure and it's an absolute mess.
Yeah.
Because we fill out our fact find and put a presentation forward to the insurers, but equally the insurers will have a look online as well and go, actually, look at the state of that. Or we want we have quite a few where people have bought pubs and they're going to turn them into flats or apartments. And they might have been empty for a couple of years. So not if a building's been empty for years, insurers don't like it anyway. Yeah. Sort of up to 3 years, we've got markets for it. 3 years plus, they're kind of like, if it's been empty for 3 years, it ain't going to be...
A lot could have gone wrong with it, yeah.
Yeah, and they'll say, right, can you send me the photos? And the landlord will send you the photos. And you're like, oh, dear, that's not good. Yeah, I know this is going to end. A pub that's been empty for like 10 years, not
it's just full of pigeons and what comes out of pigeons.
We've had one where I didn't get in trouble, but it wasn't ideal. So they bought this property, it was a right ruin, and they needed all the electrics doing, checking, refit, and I recommended them to one of my electrical contractor contacts. They got bitten, fleas, absolutely rinsed.
Oh, man.
I was like, I didn't realise it was that bad, I'm so sorry. And he was like, that wasn't the only thing. With like the apprentice and me, we got bloody bitten through fleas, and there's pigeons everywhere. And I was like,
wow,
right, you better let the insurer know about that one, because that ain't good. And again, they're going to come off cover, but it's better than them paying a premium for something that's never going to pay out.
Yeah.
It's not worth our reputation.
I think sometimes like people need to look at themselves first. Like we get some weird and wonderful stuff come across our desk where like, I want to buy this. What do you mean they won't lend on it? And I was like, would you lend money on this? Like, would you give your money for this, like, absolute ruin of a building? I was like, yeah, well, I'm going to do this with it. And it's like, this lender knows nothing about you. It's like, you might as well be a bloke down the pub going, oh, give us 60 grand. Like,
yeah,
what for?
Doing this.
Have you got any track record? No. Are you a builder? No. What are you going to do with it? Oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this. It's a no from me.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, it's a no from me. And I think like the insurance is the same. It's like, would you give your money to protect this property if something went wrong?
Sometimes you do scratch your head. But that's why we're in it. It's entertaining. It's
never a dull moment.
It's not as bad as what people think it is. See all sorts.
So how often would you say landlords want to be like reviewing their policies?
Well, for ours, we get in touch every year. we do an annual review. It's if you've got a settled tenant and nothing really changes, you might not want to. If we ring you, say go away.
Yeah.
Everything just ticks over nicely. Just send me the quote. But if your portfolio is evolving, so if you are adding or removing properties, it's always good to speak to your broker. Well, if you add one, you need to speak to your broker right away. If you're deleting one, you need to, because you'll save money by taking it off.
Yeah.
But a broker should be getting in touch at least once a year, pre-renewal, as a minimum, just to say, look, are the tenants all the same? Have you had any extensions? Have you replaced any flat roofs? Are you looking to add or reduce properties? Things like that. There's always things that do crop up. I mean, property can be fairly stable, so you might think, right, I've got a tenant, they're good payers, love having them in, no works on the building, it just absolutely ticks over. It looks after itself, which is, for a landlord, bliss, I imagine.
Yeah.
In which case, there's not many touch points because there's not many changes. It's only if there's a bump in the road or something goes wrong. Whereas if you're a landlord, you do have don't have the best tenants and you're having a high turnaround, you're going to have periods of unoccupancy, which you need to let your insurer know about. Changes of tenants, there might not always be professional working. You need to let your insurer know about. Change of tenants, you might change the rent.
Yeah.
So rent, you need to look at that. There's all sorts. Depends how much change, really. But I'd say on average for a property, once a year would probably be more than enough.
So if you put yourself in client shoes, you're not an insurance broker, what sort of questions do you want to be asking the insurance broker? First of all, to find out if they're the right fit for you, but also what they can do for you as well.
I want to know what their experience is, how many years experience, what percentage of the business is landlords, because you don't want to deal with somebody who just started yesterday arranging your policy. You want a broker with experience. What markets have they got access to? How many are on the panel? So for us, we've got like 90 agencies with all different insurers. So we've got a good cover of the market.
Yeah.
Depending on the property, if it's occupied, you're going to have a load of insurers to go at. Is it unoccupied? Not as many insurers to go at, and the perils are all different, what you're covered for. So you need a broker to be able to explain all them. I think just generally help with the rebuild cost if they've got a solution for that. Because like we touched on, not many landlords know how to find out a rebuild cost. And what you're going to do once you've got the policy, what you're going to do for me then.
Yeah.
So if you're ringing about a claim, can you get hold of them? Have you got a contact? You need to be able to know if something goes wrong, you can get through to the right people. I think it's pretty straightforward, to be honest. It's having that peace of mind, confidence in who you're dealing with. Whereas, like, you compare it to somebody online, you're not getting any support and nothing. You don't know what you're asking or to look out for. I mean, like for us, we know the main things are flat roofs. We know the main things are trace and access, burst pipes. So in our fact find, like you'll know about, we always touch on them anyway. So when you contact us, you don't really need to ask much of us because we're going to ask a hell of a lot from you. And just from doing that in-depth fact find, you'll probably think, right, these know what they're doing. They've asked the far end of a fart, so I'm pretty confident what they're going to put forward to me is accurate. Yeah. And just be very transparent. So,
because I thought I knew quite a bit about landlord's insurance. Obviously, I have it for my properties, and there's a bit of crossover in what we do anyway. But just speaking to you I wouldn't even know what trace and access is. I wouldn't know what these other bits are. So for me to have a policy on my own, and then I'm ringing this big national company direct, and I'm one of 200 people in a hold queue while there's water coming out of somewhere. Yeah. So when should landlords look to? I think I know the answer to this one anyway. I know what you're going to say. When should landlords move away from doing it DIY themselves online and move into a broker?
Always.
Knew it.
Always. I'm a strong believer in you get what you pay for. So online, likelihood it's going to be cheap. As a novice going online to buy insurance, we won't have dealt with insurance as a landlord that often, so you don't really know what you are looking out for in terms of policy wording, what's the financial strength, what's the rating of the insurer. Because I've had it before where people have gone online, they bought cover with an insurer they don't know and they're actually unrated, so there's no financial security. If they go, it's likely that they might go pop.
Yeah,
there's a reason you don't have a financial rating as an insurer. But we only deal with reputable insurers we deal with comprehensive products. We don't have like bare minimum, bare bones cover. We just don't. We only deal with reputable insurers that give reputable policies and are good at dealing with claims. So I'd always favour using a broker, especially a local one that knows the area, because that's, if you're from out of town buying in this area, you aren't going to know.
Well, that local knowledge, like you know, if it's on that particular street, you've got an idea.
We know it's flooded.
Yeah. And you know how it was built, when it was built. You might even insure other properties down that street that you can lean on as well, won't you?
Yeah. It's because, like I've mentioned before, like landlords, investors do have the favourite areas. So there's quite you'll find some areas where most of them are owned by investors rather than on personal households. Because it's a good opportunity to buy property at a decent price and get it rented out.
Yeah, we get that flagged up sometimes. Like at the cheaper end of the market, typically is we'll be doing a mortgage for somebody where they're going to buy it as an investment, and it'll get declined because either the lender's highlighted that there's not much demand for owner occupation in that area because it is purely landlords, or they've got too many properties that they've already mortgaged down that street and it's oversaturated for them, so they want to move somewhere else.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we get that quite often. It's in. You could probably pick out the postcodes where you think it would be. But yeah, we get that every now and again.
We've had it a few times from more like commercial businesses where the insurer got, we insure too much in that area. So if something goes wrong that's catastrophic, we're going to be on the hook for a lot of money. So we're walking away from that one. Yeah,
I think, like I said, we've been chatting for an hour about landlord's insurance. Who'd have thought?
But yeah, flies when you're having fun.
One of the key takeaways I've had was, I mean, I had this outlook anyway, but is as we've spoke about it, is a property is a massive investment. You could be sinking 30, 40 grand of your own money just into the deposit. Then you're spending money on a letting agent to find you the right tenant, and then you've got a tenant that's actually giving you a return. Why would you leave yourself completely unprotected from God knows how many things that we've spoken about, not to scare the life out of everybody, but something could happen. Why would you run around without a shield?
Why would you cut corners, do it cheap? Because it's like anything, you buy cheap, you buy twice, or you find out the hard way. And I'm not saying, like, personally, that as a broker, we are massively expensive, or we always will be more expensive than online policies. Because we do pick up a lot of business where people have been online and come to us. We know price is a massive deciding factor, so we know we have to be competitive. So price, quite often with our bank of insurers, I touched on the amount of insurers we have access to, we are very competitive. We make sure we're competitive. But we're competitive with products that are comprehensive as well, not just bog standard. Because like I say, it's our reputation. Like, we want to make sure as a broker, we put the best solution forward that gets claims paid.
And ultimately, when you boil it down, is you pay insurance to protect you and give you a lump sum of money when the brown stuff has hit the blades, and you need that help the most.
Yeah, well, like we say, it'll never happen to me. That's the whole point of insurance. It does. It really does.
Yeah.
And you don't know when. Like,
stats don't lie.
Burst pipes. How are you going to know?
Yeah.
So burst pipes are quite often reoccurring.
Yeah. No matter how diligent you are as well, because under insurance policies, like when you buy your own home, is you have to maintain that property to a certain standard for your insurance to be valid. So you want to be doing these checks anyway, making sure if the property's empty, the running water's still working, especially in winter. You've not had any damage because it's not been occupied for 3 months or something like that. So it's kind of on them as well to keep on top of that.
Oh, massively. And maintenance is a massive thing that you need to be on top of, whether it's you directly doing it or the managing agent on your behalf. You need to be doing internal, external checks. Because if it's winter and the tenant's not putting the heating on, you might get damp. And if that escalates over months, you're not going to know until it gets really serious, and then it's a big job to sort out. Do you know if they're trashing the property or not? Don't know. Have you actually done the background checks on the tenants? Because you'd be amazed how many people just go, oh, they're all right, we'll get them in, they'll pay the rent, no bother.
Yeah.
Right, they've damaged the property. What background checks did you do? Character references, blah, blah, blah. No, we just did it on a handshake.
Back of a fag packet.
Right, that's not going to stand up, that. And again, that's something that it's in insurance policies, all these checks that you have to do. So you're better off using a broker who understands the product and explains it in a way to you that you know. There's not going to be any nasty surprises because they've explained, they've been transparent, honest, and pointed out all these conditions, whereas if if you go to a broker that does it quickly, you can just churns it out, or if you go online and you don't get any advice or support at all, you're never going to know until you need it.
Yeah.
And not quite often it's too late.
We're singing from the same hymn sheet here. Independent advisors in our field is you could do it yourself online, hope you get it right, hope you've keyed it in correctly and hope it pays out when you need it the most, or you could have come to us, we'd have found the perfect solution for you, much faster than you would have found it, we'd have submitted the paperwork, and when you really need it because something's gone wrong, you ring me, not a national company in Birmingham.
There's so much to be said for dealing locally, dealing independent, because you're always going to get that safety net and you're not going to have to wait forever for it. You've got quick access to people who have the knowledge and experience, know the area, and like for mortgages and buy-to-let, you're a landlord yourself. So it's like you can give real-life examples of, right, I understand this because legislation, it applies to me too, so I can advise you correctly. I've bought properties in this area, I know how this works. So you can give that hands-on advice. Just like us in our area, we've been established that long, we know the local area, we can give this advice, and being independent, you do the networking in the local scene, so you can also refer other businesses in. So like for a landlord, if you need your electrical safety check, I know an electrician, you need your gas safe, I know a plumbing and heating engineer, mortgages, I know Greenie. There's all stuff like that when you're doing a fact find, like these are all people I know and trust. And so for like the landlord at the end of the phone, it's saving you so much time and effort because you're not having to go run around and find it all.
I think it's the accountability as well, where there's a good chance I'm probably going to bump into you in the street at some point. So if I've sold you a dud mortgage or a dud buy-to-let policy that didn't pay out, you might see me down the pub and want to wring my neck. Whereas I'm going to have to see, I want to be able to come over to you and go, really glad you got that payout. I'm glad everything's sorted. I'm glad we could help you. You don't get that from somebody from out of town.
No, they're going to hide it. Well, they're away anyway. They're not going to come find you, are they? It's just, there's not many, I don't know in your industry if the independents are like phasing out and getting acquired as well, but there isn't that many like local independent insurance brokers anymore. If you're supporting them, you're just supporting big wigs in major cities, whereas if you support local, you're getting local knowledge, local expertise and helping local people. That will help you back.
But I've always found, like I said, we've known each other 6 years. I've always appreciated your brutal honesty in all aspects, saying these are the clients we are working with, these we are not working with. I'm trying to take more of that myself. But yeah, just when I've come to you with something and you're like, yeah, that'll work or no, it won't. And I think you do that with all your clients. And I know when you've spoken to people would say, God, he's thorough, but you need to be for what you do,
Yeah. Well, like we just said, there's nothing worse. So if people use you and they don't get a claim paid, like granted, if it's a genuine decline, like we've had one who didn't do any reference checks, so they turned the property into a cannabis farm. They took a load of cash up front for rent and said, "Great, see you in 6 months to collect the rest of the rent." No background
giant red
check,
flag there,
massive. And you're like, I can put this claim forward to the insurer, but you haven't done anything you meant to do. Like, this is just ridiculous.
You've not helped yourself there, have you?
So there are instances where it's like, there's nothing, I could not have done any more to get this claim paid for you. Like, there's literally nothing we could have done or said. That's on. It has to be on you. You've let yourself down there, basically. But our job is to point out all the things that you need to comply with to make sure that when something does go wrong, it's going to go through smoothly. Yeah.
Well, I've really enjoyed the last hour talking about landlord's insurance. But yeah, I've taken a lot from this. And yeah, thank you for being a supporter of us, giving up your time to be on here. I'm sure people are going to take as much away from it as I have. Just so when this goes out, people can find you. Where's the best place to find? Probably more so HI Commercial, not Luke Byron, because you've got 2 young kids, haven't you? So.
Yeah, I'm gone. I got let out for a few hours today just to do this and get back into hiding. So yeah, like I said, our office is in the Ergo building in Hessel, opposite the Porsche garage.
That's what I tell everybody. There's only one Porsche garage in Hull, you can't miss it.
So, we're there, Greenie's upstairs, we're downstairs. We've got, our website is www.hicommercial.co.uk, and we're very active on social media, so LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. If you look on those profiles, you'll see quite a lot of reels. Yeah. Not all as cringy as what I like them. I'm glad you do.
I saw the one that Pete got out with his little crystal ball. That one sticks with me, that.
It took so many takes. It was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. That we were all in tears watching him because he's actually going for it.
But I like that though, because like we have the same problem. It's like what we do is quite stuffy, so to put a bit of personality behind it, like that one video has stuck with me. As much as Pete might hate it, but
it took that many takes because he couldn't keep a straight face either when he was doing it. So it was brilliant. And there was one where he did it and he did it really well, but the camera wasn't running. So yeah, there's all sorts on there. Yeah.
But no, thank you, mate. Really enjoyed that. That wraps up another episode of the Let's Talk Mortgages podcast, brought to you by Green Mortgage and Protection. At the time of filming this, it is 1 week before Christmas, so we have nothing in the pipeline for next year as of yet. But we are hoping to get some more people on, so keep an eye out for that, and they'll be with you as soon as we can get them out.